What's going on, everybody? April 21st, ARM Day. This seemed like a really good one to kind of pinpoint and go over. I will say ahead of time here, not on purpose. It's Monday, and I believe I'm going to do Thursday again in this upcoming week. Again, I know the previous week was also Monday and Thursday. So hopefully it doesn't affect anybody. But this is a great one. I think there's a ton that we can rip through here. Again, I'm trying to be more proficient in ripping through these, so bear with me. Okay, so Metcon. So everybody knows, hopefully at this point, you're this deep into the programming, into the month, that the monthly emphasis was muscular endurance and aerobic endurance. I do think there is some confusion and misconception on what that even means. So the three main modalities are hypertrophy training, which is your ability to build lean muscle, right? Increase the cells of the muscle, make them bigger. A lot of people are going to think that's bad, especially females. It's not. We have to do hypertrophy in order to put lean muscle tissue on our body. You then have like kind of strength training, or a lot of people refer to it as like power training. Or powerlifting. That is really just like cycles, right? It's you're trying to generate more force, get strong enough to generate more force and pick up more weight. Like that's the goal. Again, fantastic, obviously, but usually requires a lot more specific structure and things, like I said, cycles. And then you've got like muscular endurance and capacity work, which I love to death. I find a ton of value in for lots of reasons. And those are the three kind of like main modalities in weight training. Not to say there's not others. And right here, obviously, with Muscular Endurance Month, you guys have kind of felt the lean towards like the higher volume, the more drawn out reps, your ability and your muscles' ability to last longer, right? This workout does that really well, but I can see there being a lot of confusion. You got 60, 75, or 100 tricep extension right here. The initial thought most people are going to have is, okay, if I'm picking the lower rep count, do I use more weight? That's not the goal. Like the goal of this, and hopefully this is explained to you in class, but if not, you guys are watching this video, is to go into this with whatever weight you would typically do 15, 20, 25 reps with. Maybe you don't know that. Find out today. Although we do 100 tricep extensions like fairly frequently, and hammer out really large sets of this. Like your goal is to take massive sets, no more than like a 60-second rest, and just keep going. In other words, try to get through whatever rep count you choose based off of your capabilities, not the weight you choose, and get through that as fast as possible. Okay. Again, increasing your capacity levels, your aerobic, your muscular endurance levels, not aerobic. Apologize. Secondarily, you'll see the intervals in here: 2 to 3 400-meter runs, 2.5 minutes as a cap, and a 1-minute rest. So pretty standard work to rest ratio here in terms of 400-meter run, 1-minute rest. But I kind of want this to be, I do want this to be, not kind of, like two separate workouts. So you're attacking your volume lifts, and then you're kind of separating the intervals. Whereas I think a lot of us are going to be really used to like, all right, I'm going to get through as fast as I can, and I'm going to run right into the run, and I'm going to transition as quick as possible. That's not really the goal here. The goal is to treat these intervals kind of as their own entity. So, maybe not rushing into them, putting a little bit of thought into how you're going to approach these. And again, there's 2 or 3 because there's plenty of people that have no business doing 3 400s, and the time cap is there kind of as a fail safe for anybody that feels like doing 3. Maybe they necessarily shouldn't be doing 3 of them, or maybe we're just not conditioned enough to do 400 meters in an efficient amount of time. So got to put the fail safe in there. I don't want you guys on the treadmill for entirely too long, and we'll get what we're trying to get out of it with those fail safes in there. So 400-meter repeats, that's a number hopefully everybody should know or get to know. Like that is a very standard distance, a quarter mile. We kind of want to know what we can handle there. And again, these intervals, because you're doing just kind of enough here, it's a pretty good day. You can get a lot of value out of these intervals once it's all said and done. And then you'll notice as you move down the list, you've got the single leg dumbbell supinated curls, single leg overhead extension with a pause, and single leg wide curls. So introducing another modality into today. Arms is just a really good day to kind of get this stuff in there. Like arms fatigue really quick. They're not necessarily something you want to do multiple lifts kind of at max effort with. So putting in something like stability training, ankle, knee, and hip training, things that are going to focus on more propriocept rich environments, proprioceptively rich environments, tongue twister there. In other words, just making it more unstable. Goes really well on arm day. And this is a great opportunity for those of you that are stable, which we don't want to jump the gun here. But if you're capable of standing on each foot and the stability is there. I mean, your ankle isn't rocking side to side. You're not actually losing your balance, and you can still move whatever weight it is you want to move with good form. Then you can add like a black mat underneath your foot, a Bosu ball underneath your body, and things that are going to make it more unstable, which is fantastic, right? These are the kind of things I'm talking about in day-to-day functionality, longevity, falling or stopping your risk of falling, your ability to catch yourself. These days are great. Now, we don't need to beat it like a dead horse. Like, this isn't something we need to do super frequent. I try to change planes with you guys frequently, but I'm not like focused on single leg stuff like all the time. But you guys have been here long enough. If you're new, you'll start to see it. It comes around enough. I try to keep it kind of on the radar, but not like everything else in terms of modality. So take advantage of that. Focus on which leg's stronger than the other. If you're really good at this type of thing, you can always progress through it by adding those pieces of equipment that I spoke about. And then again, as you guys work your way down, you'll notice the intervals continue to shrink in distance. The point of that is for you to quite literally treat them as negatives. As the distances go down, your paces should ramp up. Now, it seems like basic knowledge, but when you get stuck into the 40 minutes into class, a lot of times we just kind of lose sight of that, and we lose our strategy and structure if we even had one, and we just kind of go through the motions. If you do this correctly, you should have a 400-meter split, a 300-meter split, and a 200-meter split kind of in your head, obviously based off of how the 400 goes. If it goes well, and you run whatever split it is you had in your head, say I'm going to run a 400 meters in 2 minutes, then I'm going to get to the 300, and I don't want to maintain a 2-minute, 400. I want to maintain maybe a 150 200 or 400, meaning I'm getting saving 10 seconds off of my 400-meter split pace, if that makes sense. I hope it does. If it doesn't, just ask and I can do a whole video kind of on intervals and pacing, because I can see that being confusing for some people. And then again, you just maintain that on the way down, assuming you have the conditioning to do so, which is why I wanted the intervals to be separate, so you guys can focus on the intervals and progressing as the intervals shorten. And you guys could also focus on obviously the muscular endurance side and these large rep counts while simultaneously dealing with the instability of the single leg stuff. So kind of killing like 3 birds with 1 stone here, under the assumption that, we're paying attention to all this stuff and it's explained well enough to you guys. And then the bottom, the AMRAP, and I've said this maybe in previous videos, this is a really important one, kind of been hammering it on the trainers lately, is letting you guys know, like, these AMRAPs at the bottom, they're not just like busy work. Like, I put those in there for efficiency purposes, and they're usually, the time is baked into the workout. Now, this one is obviously the entire class, but it's under the assumption that you are going to finish and you are going to get to the bottom of this AMRAP, whereas I have been passing people kind of finish the meat and potatoes of the workout and they just kind of bounce, even though they have like 8 or 9 minutes left in class. Like, it's a really valuable 8 or 9 minutes, and I believe that it's, for a lot of us, kind of the next step in terms of your triceps, taking the next step. So you get a little bit of an AMRAP right there, fun little transitional piece. Triceps typically aren't overly affected by your lack of breathing or elevated heart rate. But the blood flow will make it pretty tough, harder than normal, but didn't add any added resistance because of that. So I wanted you guys to hopefully be able to ping pong through those as many times as you can with whatever time you have left, which you should have time left. So hopefully that covers everything. Again, if you have any questions, holler. I'm getting text messages, adding to my video list. I'm actually working on creating tips and tricks and strategies type of content for you guys. I have unlimited amount of stuff I could go over. I love talking about this stuff. So you got something, text me, email me, catch me in studio, catch one of the trainers, and I can add it to my list. We can go over there. Comment again leads to conversation, guys. So appreciate you guys watching. Hopefully this helps.